Hello, welcome back
Welcome back.
to another episode of Fair Us Out. I am Kyrie.
I'm Renee, and I want to say once again thank you to all of our subscribers and listeners. Uh, Thank you to the new family, new listeners, and hear us out.
Thank you for hearing us out. And on this episode, we're going to be discussing a topic that really,
It was suggested by one of our subscribers,
mhm,
and it was a topic that I found pretty interesting. Because we had asked a few of our
we kind of run out of ideas.
yeah, and we
So we're
asked
like, let's ask y'all. What
right,
would y'all like to hear us talk about?
right, and one of the things that was suggested, his name is Charles, who's our listener. Thank you so much. Was about black mental illness.
Yeah,
And I
well,
want to,
health.
yeah,
Yeah,
in mental health. And just to let everyone know, we are not doctors here or anything
no.
like that. But
But the question I think is
it's
a
I'm
socio-economic
the
question,
question. Yeah,
which
right.
tends to
hmm
fall into our field.
And it comes from a writing from attorney Alton Maddox,
Yes.
the civil rights attorney, the attorney for the people.
Hmm.
And in this particular writing that he had, he mentioned something, and I found it extremely salient.
Yes.
And so that's the point of discussion that we're going to lean from. And so I want to share that particular
Quote.
quote with you all.
Hmm.
And it is in American jurisprudence, most states embrace McNaughton's rule. Black Law's Dictionary defines it as follows: the doctrine that a person is not criminally responsible for an act when a mental disability prevented the person from knowing either the nature and quality of the act or whether the act was right or wrong. Every action or inaction also has a cause and effect. If we had lost our moral compass during slavery, and we did, the legal effect should have been our being given immunity from the prison industrial complex. Blacks may be treated for engaging in otherwise criminal acts, but they should never be punished for committing them.
Mm. Extremely salient point.
Extremely salient point. That's why I had
Yeah.
I made sure to post it again because you know when you think about you know this trauma
Mm.
that has happened to us, it has caused you know a a mental distress, mental illness, and
It has had a very adverse effect on the mental
yes,
health of the black
like
community as a whole.
right. And so if you are in a court system,
Hmm.
we know that there are judgments laid out where a defendant, may be found, not guilty because of mental illness or mental
Hmm.
and those type of things. And so I
Instead of being sent to prison, they
prison,
ought to be sent to a mental
right,
health institution
right,
that'll be able to, help them.
right. And so that's the vein in which this is coming from, and I found it to be, like we said, an extremely salient
Yeah,
point.
and,
And
and
so
it
that's the
and it posed a very interesting question. The question that I had never actually thought about
mm-hmm,
before, because I had never really looked at our condition from that standpoint. It's
mm-hmm.
like I've used the term the human
This
condition,
should right,
a lot. But when you think about the things that we as a people have had to go through,
mm-hmm,
are going through
right,
currently, and we all accept that that has had a very, like I said earlier, adverse effect on our mental health,
right,
right? So when we commit these criminal acts, when when people a part of our commit these criminal acts, you know, and we acknowledge the environment and mentality
mm-hmm,
that that's coming from, how is it that they can be, treated like criminals? Like,
right,
why are they sent to prison? Why
mm-hmm,
aren't they being treated? Why aren't they being helped?
right,
And it's a very, very good question, and I would say that he's right.
Yes, in a
That
nutshell, right?
yes, that it should not be, that you are penalized, especially when we all know
hmm
where this is coming
Coming
from,
from, right?
and how it's affecting, the community and the person in particular. We all know how this plays out. But I will say that the overall would you say post and
Yeah.
thing that he had written out.
hmm
I read it. And I said, when was this? I asked you, like, when was
Right.
this?
And I said I think it
When
was
was this
first
made?
published in
Yeah, it was
2014,
2014 because
and
he talks about like Mayor Bloomberg
right.
and Governor Andrew
hmm
Cuomo, so they had to be fairly recent.
Right. And I said that the repost that I saw was in October.
Yes, I'm just saying. So
hmm
this sounds very archaic
hmm
in its language, in its
uh,
discussion of, I would say, race relations
okay.
or something like that. In that, I mean, it fits the mode of, oh, white people are doing this to get some type of advantage over us.
hmm
That it's coming, and then it's all about property and all that stuff.
Right.
And I've often said that, especially back at like in the episode about white people and stuff
Right.
like that, that they aren't the villains in our story. They're not we give them a unified voice, and
hmm
and give them this unified. We create a monolith out of them, and then say that they're using all of that over us, and that it's this deliberate thing that they're doing. And I'm not saying that there isn't a deliberateness
Right.
to the inequality and injustice that we as a people face,
Right.
but to say that it's just it's coming from white people, and white people all have this, I guess, instinctual, or
Genetic.
this instinctual drive
hmm
to just you know find a way to levy whatever they possibly can, to their advantage, and to try to reinforce it. I think, like I said, it's archaic.
hmm
Because I read that and I thought, like, was this written in the 1970s, 1960s? I
No.
know this came out in 2014. I'm like, this. It is very one to one.
Right.
It is very
Linear is a good. It's what
like he said,
has
it's very
happened.
cause and effect,
Effect. Right.
very
hmm
black and white. But when you're dealing with people, it's never really that simple,
hmm
right? We all know, that, like I said earlier, that the conditions that we have had to deal with in America ever since we've got here, ever
Right.
since we've been here, have had an effect on us. But you know, correlation isn't causation, in a sense
Okay.
that effect, what it has done to us, is not unilateral, right? When he says, like, we lost our moral compass, and we have, well, who are you talking about here?
hmm
Right? If
hmm
you're talking, if you, like, you're using this to lend us a unified voice, as if slavery had the same effect on all of us,
hmm
and that's not the case.
hmm
I mean, did Harriet Tubman lose her moral compass? Did Frederick Douglass lose his?
hmm
It affected people differently.
hmm
It was all pain. It was
Right.
all suffering. We know the
Yes.
conditions that you were in, but as what it did to us mentally,
hmm
it's not as direct. It's not as cause and effect as the statement is making it out.
hmm
So you can't just say, and we lost our moral compass. That took our moral compass away, because I don't think that's true, or it's not the whole truth. Or it doesn't apply for everyone.
hmm
You know, and when you look at just how we have been reacting, you know, today, and
Right.
how we've been reacting to a lot of the conditions that we have found ourselves in. It's not of a people who have lost, a moral compass. It's of a people struggling to maintain one.
Yes.
In
hmm
my opinion,
hmm
is that we live in a world that makes it easy for us to just do those things that are morally reprehensible, right? Because you feel as if the world gives you no other option
Mm-hmm.
other than to be morally reprehensible. I
Right.
mean, how many times have we talked
About
about,
that, right.
the sociopath that's a billionaire,
Mm-hmm.
right? Feels no empathy, feels no emotional connection
Mm-hmm.
other than to his ambition and drive, right? And it's like that sociopathy that has infected the populace, where you think that you need to ritualistically, you know, cut off your connection to your people, to the people whom you're meant to serve, and who are meant to live in service to you and your ambitions and your ideals. That it has to be a completely one-way street.
Mm-hmm.
That it's you or them, and that you need to be able to get as much away from that than anyone else. That's why I said that's what profit is someone getting more out of the deal than someone else.
Mm-hmm.
You need to get more out of the deal than someone else. And if that means, screwing over the people who work for you,
Mm-hmm.
screwing over your community in pursuit of your own ambitions, your own goals, right? And but what have we heard to justify that? Right? Or I got a family, I got mouths to feed, I got bills to pay, all that good stuff, right? And it's like I said, that's the ego.
Mm-hmm.
You're prioritizing the health and welfare of your family over the health and welfare of everyone else's families in those communities. Because the people that you are victimizing, they have bills to pay,
Mm-hmm.
they have mouths to feed, they have families, right? But that doesn't factor into your decision because that's not really what it's about.
So the thing I think that Maddox is trying to hit on is not so much that you know we don't have the issues that we have. Is that we are not treating the issues the way that
Like
they
their mental health
like their
issues.
mental health, excuse me, like there are mental health issues. So like we talk about the 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 behaviors that we are now
We've been exhibiting, yeah.
exhibiting, right? And we say that this is that these behaviors, the cause of it is because of the trauma, from slavery and those type of things, and
What we're living in
yeah,
now.
and what we're living in now, versus you know that prison industrial complex.
That's what we're living with now.
That's what we're living with
all
now.
all of that
That
lends itself toward, like I said, that that generational trauma.
right. So now instead of that it needs to be you know the treatment, the hospitals, the
Well,
the
really,
therapy, those type of
at its
things.
at its core, that's what prison, quote unquote, is supposed to be. Right? It's supposed to be about rehabilitation.
Hmm.
Right? There's been many excuse me. There's been many programs
Hmm.
that we've talked, we've seen, like where teaching, you giving people therapy to better control their emotions, or you're helping them to learn how to do a trade or something, learn how to be cooks, learn how to be constructing, whatever. You give them something, a different outlet,
Hmm.
right? You teach them how to better control their emotions. We talk like debate teams and stuff,
Right.
like prison debate teams
These
and all
are
that stuff,
yes.
you know. And it's like, see, that's what it's supposed to be. That shouldn't be the exception.
Hmm. Now, at one time, the penitentiary system, you know, I'm using, that's what it
At what
was.
time?
Well, they used to have the fantastic library, like
But
some of the best
that's
libraries.
always been the exception.
That's true, and I
Mhm.
think that's the thing that Maddox is leaning towards is that instead of just this prison where everything is punitive, first of all, we should not be necessarily punished for this.
Because we know the
Situation,
situations that
right? If
we're dealing with.
anything, we should be treated
Hmm.
for this, and I think that's the line that he was taking. And then
Yeah,
looking at the
but it's like I said, it's where is that coming from?
okay,
Is it coming from a basis of we need to help our people, or is it coming from a place of where they're trying to levy this against us to be able to, take advantage of us again?
mm-hmm,
Like I said, it has a very archaic adversarial, tenor,
mm-hmm,
and I'm not saying that there isn't adversity
right,
that we as a people have to face, especially. in the criminal justice system. I'm not saying that.
Mm-hmm.
What I am saying is that if you point, you're creating a monolith, and
Mm-hmm.
it's all about, and that lends itself towards solutions in itself.
Right, because
Are you trying? Are you? So what's the solution
yeah,
here?
I was about to say,
Right?
what is it that you're trying to solve? Because we know the impact and the trauma of slavery on us, and I think in the context of what Attorney Maddox wrote
Mm-hmm.
is that we don't necessarily think about what it has done to those quote unquote in the power, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't think about the trauma that has happened to them,
I mean, that's the thing is
you
that
know. And
the
so,
particular uh, post that he made,
mm-hmm,
like I said, it was very it did not take, because that's another point.
right, that's another
That's
right,
another point
right, right.
is that if we know anything,
Mm-hmm,
is that, like I said in the last episode before last, is that racism has an adverse effect on the races as well,
mm-hmm,
right?
right,
You can that's quantifiable as well.
right,
You can
right,
look at the numbers,
right.
look at the suicide rates, look at opioid crisis, alcoholism, all
Mm-hmm,
this stuff, these sicknesses
mm-hmm,
that are pervasive in their
right.
communities, right? That's because that's the cost of racism.
Mm-hmm.
That's the cost of living in fear, of feeling like you have to live in opposition to
To
your
your
world.
right,
We know that.
right,
Look at us, look at our
right.
communities. We know what that looks like, and it's happening to them,
Mm-hmm,
right? It has been happening.
right. It's expressed differently.
I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
expressed in the same
And
way.
right, right.
You end up dead,
Dead, right. And that,
right?
yeah, the end result,
Yeah,
yes. Mm-hmm.
yeah. Because, like I said, that's not the reaction of a people
In
in power.
power, right.
Like we often talk about what racism has cost us,
Mm-hmm.
what it has done to us.
Right. Racism has caused this mental illness.
Yes,
Okay.
there's mental health crisis in the
Right.
black
In the
community,
black community. And
but
we're not
it's
being
created a mental health crisis, period, for
yes.
all of us
Right.
involved in this, like in this delusion,
Mm-hmm. And
right?
so the thing is that we have not come to terms with this oppression and racism debilitating a people
And
and breaking them
yeah,
mentally. And so therefore the society, we have not treated it
and it's
like
more, and like I said, and moreover about, well, if the black person,
mm-hmm,
right, needs to be treated like the black criminal,
right,
right, who does these things, he needs to be treated.
right,
Well, I said, what about the police officer
mm-hmm.
who who
Who
does,
is suffering? You can say who is suffering from racism.
yes, suffer
Yes,
from, suffer, you know,
right.
what does he,
Does he need
does he need
need to be?
treatment,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Does he need therapy?
I would say yes,
I think you would say yes too. Yes,
but I'm just, where is that coming from?
right.
See, because you're discounting, or not taking into consideration the
Mm-hmm,
fact of the effect that it has on them,
mm-hmm.
right? And said the whole thing
Yeah, we could
is
definitely
very, like,
articulate, you know,
what it's done to
done to
us.
us.
Yeah, but like I said, the whole thing is very adversarial,
Mm-hmm,
and it's coming from this place of what they're doing to us, as if they're like, if they have this self assuredness, they have something that is not hurting them as well.
mm-hmm,
That is, it's been skewed to their benefit, right? Mental patients, like people who have severe, mental
mm-hmm,
issues, finding themselves in prison instead of, a mental health facility, is not just a black problem.
mm-hmm,
It is a problem of society as a whole.
mm-hmm.
We've all, all of us have to face
And
that.
society, it tends to it reinforces, the illness more than anything.
Yeah,
That's why you have the black criminal and you have the white cop,
yeah,
and that is pervasive. That type of setup
yeah.
is pervasive in throughout society, and so it's wreaking. We like we just say we know what it's doing to us,
Hmm.
and since we are, I'll say, at the bottom, underneath this boot, you know, the way that we see it,
Mm-hmm.
it's it
It looks like a one-way street.
street. But in actuality,
Like, yeah.
it's really not, especially because you're dealing with people. See,
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing. When you're dealing with people, it's it's not a one way
Yeah.
exchange. It's not a one way experience. And
Yeah,
so,
like I said before in the last episode,
mhm,
that black being black in America and being black and being American have always been two separate things
mhm,
to black people,
mhm,
right?
right,
That suffering, that fighting for representation and democracy, that thing to us, from our view, has always been uniquely black.
mhm,
But like I said, if the last 4 years have shown us anything,
anything, right,
is that no, this suffering is uniquely American,
mhm,
right? We're all trying to find a way to be represented. I mean, what is Proud Boys and the way that stuff,
right, that
other
foolishness,
than
right,
gang violence.
right,
You joined the gang.
mhm,
You know, we know what that looks like.
right,
We know where that comes from. So I would agree.
yes,
I would definitely agree that the our history here, our experience here in America, ever since we've gotten here from slavery, Reconstruction, Jim Crow, Black Power
mhm,
movements, and this, like I said, neoliberalist
mhm,
nightmare that we've been existing in. You know that has all had a very adverse racism.
period, right,
Racism,
right,
all that's
right,
racism.
right,
Racism has had a very adverse effect on us,
mhm,
and the criminal element that we see, propping up because
because
of
of
it.
it, right,
You're not going to be able to solve it by punishing it because you're not really rectifying it.
mhm,
These people need rehabilitation. They
right,
need help.
right,
You need, to treat them, give them something other than this, show them that they can survive in this world, by not,
right,
you don't have to do that.
mhm,
Give them an option, give them a way out.
mhm,
Most people would choose it. Most people would choose it.
mhm,
Some people are assholes
right,
who would do bad things regardless,
regardless, right,
but that's universal.
right,
And if you are actually treating people, then you'll be able to recognize that
yes,
the ones who need, the rod,
that's right,
and the ones who actually need help.
correct,
And if we can accept that for us, if we know that for us, then it's the same thing for them.
right. Can you extend your understanding for us?
Of the type of pain
Right.
that racism has
Calls for
caused.
right. Can you
Can you
extend
can you
that?
see that just for all of us,
Right.
for what it has done to all
Right.
of us?
Because the thing is that we know what racism has cost us.
Mm-hmm.
We even have tried to put it into numbers just here
Yeah.
in the United States.
Not even talking about
We're
it.
not even talking about Europe and Asia and the
Mm-hmm.
Caribbean, just for us right here in the United States. Right? So that trauma and what it has done to us, it's actually happening globally.
But I think that
And
for us, the experience of it is very
unique.
unique
I will definitely,
because
because because we we're dealing with a people who, you know, they revolted
mhm.
against the queen and the king and those type of things. So we know that this particular
And like I said, like for me, I look at Africa and I get confused
mm-hmm,
because you got all these ethnic groups,
mm-hmm,
right? You got Ashanti,
right,
Igbo, Zulu,
right,
Yoruba,
yeah,
all
just a
that
whole
stuff.
bunch, right?
Buku people,
Yes,
and that's way, way, way more than what I've just named.
of course,
And it's like, and all these people have their own politics, and sometimes politics boil down to you're helping the Ashanti more over the
yeah,
Yoruba, and there's all this stuff. And I look at that, and I'm like, what?
right. Well, for us,
Because it's like for black people over here, there's no,
no, right,
it's
right.
black.
Yep, that's it.
And that's why I think it's very easy for us to have like I said, unilateral,
Mm-hmm.
adversarial, black and white cause and effect ideal of what this is,
Right.
because
For us
For
here,
us,
yes, it is.
look, you
That's
got
the setup.
white people
Right,
right there,
right. The
black
people
people over
over
here.
here,
Don't matter what
right,
group you try to claim,
right.
what
Let's set. Yeah,
history,
let's try to set.
tribal,
Yeah, right.
whatever thing,
Yep,
what knowledge you have gained.
right.
There's no.
No,
When you get pulled over by the police officer,
we know what it
you
is.
know, yeah,
Yeah, we know. And so
that's it.
it's right,
It's black and
white.
white. It's
Mm-hmm.
like there's no tribal groups,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it lends itself like us to a very particular mindset. Like I said,
Yes.
Africa does not exist in Africa.
Mm-hmm.
This idea of a unified
Right.
Africa, of a unified people,
Mm-hmm.
that has helped us here in
Mm-hmm.
America, thinking of Africa as the motherland,
Mm-hmm.
and all of that as our history,
Mm-hmm.
all of it,
Mm-hmm.
that has
Yeah.
helped us
Us.
rectify our
Our.
place here,
Right.
but that doesn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
It's like when we talk about with white people who be looking back at the 1950s and
Yeah, the
40s.
20s, the roller
Yeah,
20s, and
like
all. Right.
that was the golden period. Like,
No, no,
that's
no.
that
See.
that's not real.
Right.
There was pain and struggle and strife even during that time.
Mm-hmm.
And we're looking at us. Let's say you're living a myth.
Mm-hmm.
We're living a myth.
Mm-hmm. Everybody's
lying.
Right? Everyone's
Right?
lying.
Africa is a fractured place
Mm-hmm.
with varied political ideals.
Mm-hmm.
It is not one nation,
Mm-hmm.
one people.
Right.
No matter how much we want it to be.
Right.
Right? That exists right here in us.
Right.
And so we have to be able to understand that the problems that we're dealing with
Mm-hmm.
is not just black problems. They are American problems.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that's
I
hard,
know that's hard for us
to accept. I remember
right.
reading James Baldwin
Mm-hmm.
when he talked about America.
Mm-hmm.
Like he left and he found out how American he really was. All
Right.
that stuff,
yes, I tell him that all the time.
America really was the best place for him to be.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I remember that. Like, I don't understand what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I don't know.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't get it.
Right.
I don't know what you see, but I know what I see.
Right.
America's not the place for me.
Right.
Right. But you're seeing now and thinking back, like the man was absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
Because the issues that we're dealing with,
mm-hmm.
The perspective that we have of ourselves, of our history, and the people that we want to be, is something that we have learned because of our experiences here. Right? The suffering that we have undergone here has taught us a very valuable lesson. That you are black.
Right. If you
you are black and then everything else.
Right.
So it don't matter what you try to claim, what you try to be,
mm-hmm.
what you want to do.
This is what it is.
You with us.
Right. Right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You ain't going nowhere.
Right.
It ain't going nowhere.
Right.
You ain't ask for it. It didn't ask
for you. It's just
what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And so you always have that to fall back on.
Mm-hmm.
You always have a history, a place to go,
mm-hmm.
a people. Right? Doesn't matter where you go.
Yep.
Because we all black, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And you can try to escape that. Even black Republicans. Whatever. It don't matter where you go, bro.
Right.
It don't matter where you go. We know where you're going to be on Sunday, bro.
Right.
When the cookout happens, we know where you're going. All that politics, all that falls away. Because the black experience
mm-hmm.
is universal, no
mm-hmm.
matter where you are.
Right.
Because we are a black people.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And they are a white people.
Right. And that comes
people.
Right.
And that comes with the realization that what we as a black community have been dealing with, the aesthetic, is uniquely black.
Mm-hmm.
We've always been under. It's always come from, being under, mm-hmm. being oppressed.
Right. And that has caused a particular
in the most aesthetically.
Right.
Not just mentally.
Right.
But we are the ones who are under.
Right. It has caused a particular kind of trauma.
Mm-hmm.
But we understand, at least, in this conversation here, that it has caused a particular...
we must be willing to
understand. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That it has caused a particular kind of trauma for us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also caused a particular type of trauma for them. The thing is that we don't... Mm-hmm. We have tended not to lend that part of the conversation to them because it's something because
you're holding the whip.
Yes. Yeah.
You're holding the weapon.
You over there is
You're
doing
the
this to
police
us,
officer.
right?
You're the one with the gun.
Right. You're the one that's
It's
causing
hard to
right
see your pain when you're shooting at
at
me.
me. Right.
Right? You want me to build a bridge.
Right.
Now, how about you stop shooting me, bro?
Yeah, just make it simple. Yeah.
We've talked about
We
that
talked
before.
about that before, right?
That is really not that. It's up to those who know.
Right.
So it's not like this is, we haven't given them the credence because we just bad people. We haven't given them the credence because
y'all keep doing shit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. y'all keep
doing this stuff.
You keep doing
You
it.
keep doing this.
Right.
Evidently you ain't in pain, bro. You keep doing it.
Right.
But we know.
But here it is.
For us.
You're out here, 12,000 of y'all talking about million MAGA march. When
we look at us,
right?
How many times we're like, "Are we why? What else needs to happen?
Right?
Are we not tired?
Right?
Are we not tired of this?
Mm-hmm.
What else needs to happen
right.
for us to find the light?" It's the same thing.
Yeah,
it's the same thing.
Right?
So I fully agree. I fully agree.
Yes.
That about the trauma and the mental health crisis that we as a people are facing.
Mm-hmm. And that we should not be imprisoned,
punished.
Mm-hmm. The way that we have been punished.
Because it's not helping anybody.
No.
It costs us. It literally costs us more.
Right.
To do that.
Right.
Other than just helping.
Right.
Helping.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really. Oh, that's what we are.
That's what
all this is. That's how long we just saying that people need help. We all need help. My father had said many times we all need therapy.
Yeah, yeah. We all sit down and we need therapy. Yes.
We all need therapy. And he's right.
He's right. Definitely.
We all need some perspective, some wisdom. Mm-hmm. To be able to take a breath and see that this pain is universal. I know for a lot of people, that's depressing.
Mm-hmm.
Like this,
or it sounds
nowhere,
right?
Nowhere where it is, where it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what can we do if there is no escape for it? Right? It's like when I talk about God, right? For me, like there is no like God
in the sky.
Yeah, no one thing.
Right.
And for a lot of people, like, well, if it's not that, then what am I? What is this all about?
Right.
It has the opposite effect. For me, the idea of that being no universal one thing is freeing to me.
Mm-hmm.
The idea that this pain, that we're dealing with is universal, that we're all dealing with, it's refreshing to me.
Mm-hmm.
It lends a breath of fresh air to me because now I know what is not going to be or what it shouldn't be.
What it shouldn't be, right?
Right. It makes things a lot clearer.
Mm-hmm. And so I'm all about the problem solving, the resolutions, right? Because now that we've discussed, okay, we see the trauma, we know what it has caused for us. Mm-hmm. We also understand.
We can acknowledge
that it has caused you all as well across the aisle.
Yeah.
So, do we want to help? Do we want to solve that problem? The dichotomy, those type. Do we want to?
Well, I think it's a question of the system as a whole, right? If the system is going to acknowledge our trauma from the conditions that we have had to live in, right? Then it also needs to acknowledge their trauma as well, right? It needs to understand that if instead of being sent to a prison, you get sent to a hospital because of the experience that you've been through as a black man in America, what you've gone through here, right? Then that as a white man in America, you need to go to the hospital too.
You need therapy. I see you out there.
And if we can accept that, right? From a sociological standpoint, from a political standpoint, then it's the question hasn't changed. We've always known that this punitive system really isn't helping us, and that it really needs to be about rehabilitation. So that hasn't changed, right? But the dynamic of it, like this question, like this point that he made,
Right.
really added a new dynamic to
Mm-hmm.
it. Of where exactly is this coming
I mean,
from?
because how many times have we said amongst ourselves, "Man, people crazy. They
Hmm.
need help. Something wrong with them." We're
You're
right.
right. And come to find out, what's wrong with them is what's wrong with us.
Mm-hmm.
Racism.
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
Yes, like it's refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
It's simple.
It's so.
So the question hasn't changed, but the dynamic of it
Mm-hmm.
has. And now it's a question of us as a people, of our moral integrity.
Right.
Have we truly lost, our moral understanding of self?
Mm-hmm.
Can we accept, you know, what this has done to them?
Right.
Can we levy the same type of understanding
Mm-hmm.
toward their pain as we have to ours?
Right.
Right? It all boils down to a question of empathy.
Right.
We've
And I
often
know.
talked about, especially like what's going on now, taking a
Mm-hmm.
knee and all that stuff, in the NFL, all that good stuff, and talk
Right.
about they need some empathy,
Mm-hmm.
need to be able to understand what this is doing to
Mm-hmm.
us, and that nothing is free. That I want to watch football as an escape. Well, I'm sorry, bro,
Right.
but those people live in this world.
Right.
They get to express their opinions as just as much
Mm-hmm.
as you do.
Right. And the idea that you feel that you know you can escape,
Hmm.
we can't.
Yeah, this is a
This is
reality.
this is right.
I
This
mean,
is
but there's a lot, even black people, who just
mm-hmm.
like, I just want to watch something.
Right. I don't want to think about all of
I
this.
just
I don't
want
want.
some
Right.
entertainment
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. But like, see, that's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
See that escapism should be the real world.
Mm-hmm.
We all want to escape.
Right.
You think,
And it shouldn't be at the cost of anyone in order to do
yeah,
that.
like
That's the
you
problem.
think this is
Right.
something that we're doing to ourselves?
Right.
You think we want racism everywhere?
The short answer is no.
You
Right.
think we want to
Right.
deal with that?
We don't want racism for us
Mhm.
because we know we don't want racism. Period.
Yeah.
That's we don't want it at all.
A lot of people talk about you making things. It is. It's
Mm-hmm.
in this world. It is with people. It
Right.
has no choice but to be. I wish that you know that I can say politics is bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
That I can just say, oh, that's all this BS.
Right.
I wish I could say that,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't get to be that clueless because see that this what I'm dealing
Right.
with the black community that's politics.
Right.
It is so much at
It's
its very
everyday.
least.
Yes. Everyday politics.
It
Right.
is politics.
Right.
At its most minimal, it's the law and policy that we have to deal
Deal
with on a
with.
daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
So it can't be BS to me.
Right. And we deal with.
And there is no escape.
There is no escape. That's why we're recording today.
Yeah, you have
we're recording today.
Yeah, you have to confront it.
That's right.
You have to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
If they need to have some empathy, need to be able to understand, what we're going through. It's the same thing for us.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be able to understand what they're going through.
Mm-hmm.
But and for me, it's not even that.
Mm-hmm.
They need to understand us. We need to understand. I've often said that if you understand yourself,
Yes.
then you get everything else.
Yeah, because
just understand
right.
pain and the effects that it has on people.
Mm-hmm.
Not white and black, none of that. And for us culturally, that's who we are. But socially, we can't afford to be that.
Yeah. What is it in you that has you responding the way that you're responding?
Mm-hmm.
That's what
it all boils down
to. We say knowledge of self.
Yeah.
Right? For us. Like, you all need some knowledge of self too.
Mm-hmm.
And like we mentioned before, you all need your coming to Jesus moment.
Mm-hmm.
You have been living in the trauma of your decisions as well.
Mm-hmm. As an effect of this system.
That's right.
This particular ideology.
Right. And it
has cost us all.
It's cost us all. And that's what That's what we're dealing with.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yes, it has impacted us
Yeah.
mentally. And yes, it has, you know, impacted our behavior
Mm-hmm.
and the things that we do. But we understand for ourselves where this is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's about lending that type of understanding for everyone else. And I already know about well, you go first,
Mm-hmm. And I
and
think a lot of a lot of it boils down to
mm-hmm,
that, like you said,
mm-hmm,
that it's all of us are hurting from this, and what that pain reveals of us, what
mm-hmm,
it does to
right,
us, it's different person by person.
mm-hmm,
That not all of us have lost our moral fiber because of what we have gone through. Like I said, like that's not the battle.
right,
It's not a people trying to regain it. It's a people trying to retain it.
right. And I'm
You
about to say,
know.
whatever you think that has been lost, right?
Hmm.
If you think it's been lost, it doesn't mean that it can't be found,
And
right?
you can't lose something like morality.
Right. You either have it or you don't.
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
that's what I was going to say to Lester. You either have it or you don't. And so what is happening now is that everything is being exacerbated more than
Yes.
more than anything else. We thought, maybe 40, 50, 60 years ago that, you know, maybe things were changing,
Hmm.
you know, mentally for people across the board. It become to find out, actually, no, you have not had a shift in perspective. And that when things you feel is going awry for you, the thing that you want to do is Charlottesville
Hmm.
and Proud Boys and all that type of foolishness. And for us, it's it's the gangs and the domestic violence and I'm doing a drive by and a 5-year-old boy is hit in the head,
Hmm.
but he's inside in his house on an iPad, doing
Hmm.
whatever, and somebody just, no, you, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And so,
Foolishness.
yeah, foolishness. It's foolishness across the board. Our foolishness looks differently than their foolishness, but it's foolishness nonetheless. And so,
Like you said, the sin
mm-hmm,
of the Pharaoh, the sin of the slave.
mm-hmm,
A lot of people are vying for that throne, bro.
yes,
It ain't just you.
that's right. You're not the only one, and you have other folk who want the throne as well, and they feel as if this is what I have to do to survive. This is what I have to do in order
Hmm.
to become a billionaire, millionaire, or whatever the case
Yeah.
may be. And that's what you're seeing,
And that's the thing. When you have a throne,
right?
it's not wise to tempt a dragon. And there are dragons out there.
Mm-hmm.
And dragons hoard gold. That's kind of their thing.
Right.
You sitting on your throne, bro. You got a whole bunch of you had, look at Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
Had a whole bunch of straight up Egyptian black people sat on that throne until Alexander the Greek happened.
Mm-hmm. And then
And
everything.
they had a whole bunch of Romans and Greeks on that throne.
Right.
That Potomac line, a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
white people.
Right. Basically.
Not wise to tempt a dragon.
Mm-hmm.
You got that throne. That's the nature of thrones. Don't
Yes.
expect to sit on it forever.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not yours.
Mm-hmm.
It's never been yours.
Right.
It belongs to whoever can take it. Period, point blank in the discussion.
Mm-hmm.
And for so long, we have lived in that dynamic.
Right.
You know? And even here with
Mm-hmm.
with mental health, it's still about trying to reach for that throne and
Mm-hmm.
how they're using this to as a way to lower property, like they take people, criminalize them, let them back out and lose property value, then they buy it all up, blah, blah, blah. Like even here,
Mm-hmm.
even just discussing the general welfare of a people, the health, the mental health, we can't give up our pursuit of that throne.
Right.
We can't. It's still this,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And like I said, it's not like we're not facing adversity. It's not like there aren't people out there who are intentionally doing this.
Mm-hmm.
They are, right? But you have to understand, in a world of fire, don't be surprised when you get burned. Our world runs on fire and
Mhm.
blood.
Yes.
If we want things to change, then that has
It's to
to
change.
change. Period. Point blank.
Right.
In
It's
a
not
discussion.
changing position
Not
because
yet.
that's been the problem. That's been, I would say, our problem the last 50 years or so,
Mm-hmm.
is that we're thinking changing
It's that
the look of the,
neoliberalism.
yeah, changing the look of the throne.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that is going to, have a, a rippling effect and change. That's not.
Like even
No,
with
that's not.
mental health,
Mm-hmm.
even with mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Well, literally, we're talking about the most broken among us,
Right.
who can't help but to be broken,
Mm-hmm.
right? Even there, you know. And I know it's like, but they are,
Mm-hmm.
and they are.
Yes.
But like I said, it's up to those who know better, to do better. We know where this is coming from for us and for them. We can't afford
Not to know, right?
to not know.
Mm-hmm.
It's our responsibility, to have that perspective,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what I'm saying is that can we can we acknowledge our pain?
Right.
Can we acknowledge what racism, what this ideology has done to us all?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if we want to solve it in the criminal justice system, right? If we want to solve it there, right? Can we solve it?
Right.
Don't
That's
prioritize
it. Mm-hmm.
black pain over white pain, right? Or that, y'all are doing this to us. So you see, this
Right.
is how it goes,
Mm-hmm.
right? This, like I said, it's very cause and effect. That's the world of science, of absolute physical law. I wish that we lived in a world where 2 + 2 = 4 could be the bedrock for every decision that we ever make.
Right. But when you're dealing with people, that's not how it
That's
goes.
not how it goes. There's more than physical law. There's
Mm-hmm.
more than cause and effect
Mm-hmm.
at play in our world.
We know this. We
It
experience it.
has to be
It has
more
to be more.
because we're people and we're living amongst people.
Mm-hmm.
And like we said, respect is non-negotiable. So it has to be more.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be.
Mm-hmm.
Period.
So if we acknowledge
Mm-hmm.
what racism has done and continues to do to all of us,
To some of us,
to some of us, all right?
right? But like I said, it's going to affect everyone
Different.
differently.
No, what I was going to say in regards to the quote,
Yeah.
right, is that if if we are willing to acknowledge what racism has done,
Mm-hmm.
done to all of us,
Mm-hmm.
then we could treat it as that mental illness, right?
Mm-hmm.
That means that we're all going to get this, and it's going to, I would think, help all of us.
If you're doing it right.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that's a different conversation right there. But that's the but I'm going to go with, it's going to help,
Mm-hmm.
and from that it'll generate,
Yeah.
something else, and that it's going to be an ongoing. It's not a. I don't see it being a pill that you have to take.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're talking about relationships and things of that nature.
It's therapy.
It's therapy, right?
We all need therapy.
Mm-hmm.
We all need to just sit down
Right.
and talk to
Mm-hmm.
somebody.
Right.
And I think that's what it all comes down to.
Mm-hmm.
Is that you are absolutely right.
Yes.
What's his name?
Alton Maddox.
Alton Maddox.
Yes.
Alton Maddox is
Absolutely right.
That from a purely constitutional criminal judge, just look from the letter of the law.
Right. He is absolutely on
You
point.
know,
Yes.
he's 110%
Yes,
correct.
correct.
Like on the socio-economic standpoint, also very correct.
Mm-hmm.
According to your law,
Right.
to what we have established,
Mm-hmm.
what the courts have established,
Right.
we the people have agreed upon.
Mm-hmm.
These people, we
Right.
should not be penalized.
That's right.
For the criminal actions that we've undertaken. We ought to be treated and rehabilitated.
Mm-hmm.
Because we all know what this has done to us.
Right.
And like I said, and that's, if we take it a step further,
Mm-hmm.
because if we can see it for us, we
Right.
can see it for
For
them.
them.
We all need help, you know, and that's what I really that's what
That's the thing we want to drive.
want
Right.
to drive home, because,
Right.
like I said, when I read that, it said it's very adversarial, very okay. It sounded like it had the tenor of the of Francis Cress Welsing type
You
thing,
just,
straight up.
that's my girl.
Yeah,
Well, remember, because we read Dr. Welsing,
yeah.
we read Dr. Wright,
Mm-hmm.
we read Ani, which we thoroughly enjoyed.
Thoroughly enjoyed. Yeah.
Oh yes, and it, you know, with reading Welsing,
Mm-hmm.
it was, the extreme. Like, we have to do this, because
Mm-hmm.
if we don't do this, we're going to all die, basically.
And she wasn't wrong.
No, she wasn't.
She wasn't
No, she
wrong.
wasn't wrong. We're not saying that,
Mm-hmm.
but we understand that if when you have one extreme, that means that
Mm-hmm.
you're going to have another one, and so it's
We
about,
got to meet in the middle.
yes, we're trying to have that
Mm-hmm.
balance, because again, you're
Yeah,
dealing with
like
people.
we
Yes.
said before, that about the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
We've harped on that a million billion
Yes.
times.
Yeah. What is the opposite? For
Right.
me, the opposite is, okay, if they're doing, I don't know, something or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, okay, you want to do the opposite. See, for me, the opposite is not to do
That at all.
at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's the opposite is not creating a black version of this particular thing that they have created.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you said that what they created
Was wrong.
was wrong, right? This is wrong. So the opposite is not to do it,
For black, put a black face.
yeah, but the opposite is not to do it at all.
Like I said before, that we often say that the opposite of heads is tails,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it all amounts to 25 cents.
Mm-hmm. It's the
It all
same.
amounts to the same thing.
Yeah,
Doesn't
to the
matter which
same
side it
nickel, the
falls
same
on.
quarter, right? Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter. You flip it. Well, doesn't matter what it lands on. It's all amounts to the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're like, they're around here doing heads, I'm gonna do tails.
Right. It's still right.
You see, you're just creating more of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like we said, rebels make the best aristocrats.
That is true.
You want to be able to stop. You want to stop rebels? Give them a job.
Mm-hmm.
Give them a job. Give them minor importance.
Yes, of course, right, right.
Then you don't got to worry about
Right.
your rebels no more.
Mm-hmm.
So you can, so what are we?
Mm-hmm.
Are we rebels here? Are we looking for a job? Or are we workers?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Who already have a job? Fixing this.
That's right. Work for your people, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't do that, you're never unemployed.
So yeah.
All this, there's plenty of work to be done. Plenty. Yes. So
if you have any comments and concerns,
sir, thank you once again to Charles for pointing that out, because it was
a very, very, very good point.
Yes.
And because it really helped. Like I said, there's some things that really help to shrink my worldview, where things condenses and it gets a lot. I'm not going to say complicated, but I'm going to say, I'm not going to say clearer. I'm going to say, Jesus Christ. I'm not going to say simpler.
Right.
I'm going to say clearer.
Right. Clarity is a good thing.
You gave me clarity. Thank you very much for the question.
Thank you.
And thank you for hearing us out.
Thank you.